It was a beautiful morning on the island of Soder. Thomas the Tank Engine blue paint sparkle in the sunshine as he puffed happily along in his branch line with Annie and Clarabelle. He was feeling pretty pleased with himself.
Hello Thomas. You look splendid.
Yes indeed. Blue is the only proper color for an engine.
Oh, I don't know. I like my brown paint.
I've always been green. I wouldn't want to be any color either.
Well anyway. Blue is the only color for a really useful engine. Everyone knows that.
Percy said no more. He just grinned at Toby. Later Thomas was resting when Percy arrived. A large hooper was loading his freight cars full of coal. Thomas was still even being cheeky.
Careful. Watch out with those silly cars.
Go on. Go on.
And by the way, those buffers don't look very safe to me.
The last load poured down.
Help. Help. Get me out.
Percy was worried, but he couldn't help laughing. Thomas' smart blue paint was covered in coal dust from smoke box to bunker.
Ha ha. You don't look really useful now, Thomas. You look really disgraceful.
I'm not disgraceful. You did that on purpose. Get me out.
It took so long to clean Thomas that he wasn't in time for his next train. Toby had to take Annie and Clarabelle.
Poor Thomas.
They were most upset. Thomas was grumpy in the shed that night. Toby thought it a great joke. But Percy was cross with Thomas for thinking that he had made his paint dirt on purpose.
Fancy. A really useful blue engine like Thomas becoming a disgrace to earth often hot.
Next day Thomas was feeling more cheerful as he watched Percy bring his cars from the junction. The cars were heavy and Percy was tired.
Have a drink. Then you'll feel better.
The water column stood at the end of the siding with the unsafe buffers. Suddenly Percy found that he couldn't stop. The buffers didn't stop him either.
Oh. Help.
The buffers were broken and Percy was wheel deep in coal. It was time for Thomas to leave. He had seen everything.
Now Percy has learned his lesson too.
That night the two engines made up their quarrel.
I didn't cause your accident on purpose, Thomas. You do know that, don't you?
Of course. And I'm sorry I teased you. Your green paint looks splendid again too. In future we'll both be more careful with coal.